Traveling along the Natchez Trace Parkway, you find out all sorts of interesting information. It's one of the most historic roadways in all of the United States. Ran across one bit of history you might find interesting. Meriwether Lewis, as in Lewis and Clark, the senior leader of the Lewis and Clark expedition, buried alongside the Natchez Trace Parkway here in Tennessee. What? Exactly. Why? Here's the story. Even before the 1803 Louisiana Purchase, President Thomas Jefferson wanted to connect the distant Mississippi frontier to other settled areas of the United States. To foster communication with what was then called the Southwest, he directed construction of a postal road to be built between Nashville and the Mississippi River. This would later be known as the Natchez Trace. The Lewis and Clark expedition from August 31, 1803 to September 25, 1806, also known as the Corps of Discovery Expedition, was the United States expedition across the newly acquired northwestern portion of the country after the Louisiana Purchase. The expedition returned to St. Louis to report its findings to President Jefferson with maps, sketches, and journals in hand. In September of 1809, Meriwether Lewis was living in St. Louis as the appointed governor of the Upper Louisiana Territory. He left St. Louis for Washington, D.C. on September 4, 1809. Lewis traveled to modern-day Memphis by boat and intended to proceed down the Mississippi River to New Orleans and then travel by ship to Washington, D.C. But rumors of war with Britain and the thought of his journals from the Corps of Discovery falling into the hands of the British changed his mind. He decided to travel overland to the nation's capital. Lewis arrived at Grinder Station on the Natchez Trace in what is now modern-day Lewis County on the evening of October 10, 1809. Mrs. Grinder and her children stayed in the kitchen separate from the house. In the middle of the night, Mrs. Grinder heard 2 gunshots and found Lewis bleeding from his wounds. By sunrise on October 11, 1809, Lewis was dead. To this day, historians still argue what happened that fateful evening. Captain Meriwether Lewis, William Clark's expedition partner on the Corps of Discovery's historic trek to the Pacific, Thomas Jefferson's confidant, governor of the Upper Louisiana Territory, an all-around American hero, was only 35 when he died. A broken column, symbol of a life cut short, marks his grave.